comes a story of the forbidden world between life and death. There's a door to the mystical. And you just walk through it. Somebody brought him back from the grave. And I want to know how they did it. Death is not the end. I'll take your soul. You think you can take these people's secrets and just walk away? In the shadows of the imagination lies the ultimate nightmare. Let them bury me. I'm not dead. The Serpent and the Rainbow.
And welcome to another episode of the Dangertainment Podcast. I'm Phil.
And I'm Colin.
And today, not only are we taking a look at the Wes Craven movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow, but we are also doing a bit of a tribute to Wes Craven himself. He passed away earlier in the month, and we thought it would be appropriate to go ahead and do an episode dedicated to the man.
Mm-hmm.
And in preparation for this, between the two of us, we've watched most of the movies that he made, or at least directed.
Yeah. There were so many that he was a part of. Like, there was a wonderful World of Disney one I could not find on YouTube. And then, like, he did Presents the Dracula 2000, which I stay away from no matter what. But we just kind of stick with the, what was it, I think 20 movies he directed?
Well, I have IMDb pulled up here, so why don't I actually take a look?
I think it's 20.
I could never find the director on IMDb. That's one thing I hate about it. Because they have such a big section for the cast, and then you get to director, and it's like, nope. 29 credits.
And 9 of those are pretty much like shorts, and because I know he directed a segment from that something about Paris movie. I just picked up the steelbook of it.
Yeah. Also, he did episodes of the reboot of the Twilight Zone series.
Yep.
Nightmare Cafe did an episode of.
Yep.
There's some TV movies in there, which of course are also a little harder to find. He apparently directed a movie as Abe Snake.
What movie? I'm tracking this down.
The Fireworks Woman, the second movie he did.
I gotta find that.
That sounds like a porn name.
Well, he did do porn, kinda.
Do I even want to know?
Oh yeah, you don't watch Last House on the Left. Him and Sean Cunningham, I think, both came from like cutting porn or something.
That's everybody in Hollywood.
True.
But yeah, actually, we had the discussion that pretty much every title of a movie that Wes Craven's ever directed could be a sex act.
Oh God.
I mean, you
came up with that.
Well, okay, yes, but I mean, you give somebody the deadly blessing, or the give the old red eye, the swamp thing.
The Serpent and the Rainbow leads to the Swamp Thing, giving your deadly friend a red eye.
Oh. Nobody wants the vampire in Brooklyn.
My soul to take.
Jesus Christ. All right, maybe we should get off this topic. This is just going to go badly. We're actually supposed to be paying tribute to the man, not making fun of his choice of titles. But basically, I mean, Wes Craven, if anybody knows... What was that?
And we haven't even touched base on Music of the Heart yet.
Nobody wants that either, trust me. So yeah, I mean, people know Wes Craven primarily. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, I guess, are probably the two things he's most famous for out of everything he's ever done. But he has so many movies that are large cult films. I mean, he's done Hills Have Eyes, Last House on the Left, Shocker, Serpent
People
and the
Under the
Rainbow.
Stairs, Swamp Thing, Hills Have Eyes 2.
Well, I was trying to talk about ones that were cult films and not the ones that were utter pieces of shit.
Hey, People Under the Stairs is a good movie.
No, I was talking about Hills Have Eyes 2, the movie that he doesn't even like or didn't even like, and the one that was half of the original Hills Have Eyes, just spliced in with dirt bike footage.
Yeah, I think Hills 2 and Deadly Friend are the two he really disowns.
I think you watched Deadly Friend, but I haven't seen that one yet. All I know is a scene of a basketball going into somebody's face. It makes me really want to watch the movie.
That's the lady from Goonies. That's what I was talking about.
So Goonies never say die, but sometimes people get basketballs in the face.
Yep.
And speaking of balls, Serpent in the Rainbow. No, we'll get there in a little bit.
Oh, God, really?
But, jeez. But I mean, looking at the guy's career, it's really impressive because just looking at his IMDb, he worked really consistently throughout, just in directing gigs, let alone the writing and, producing and things like that. But from 1972, when his first movie came out, at least every few years, he had a new movie come out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he has 4 from 1984.
Wow. But yeah, like he did a lot of movies that a lot of people made fun of and don't like, but he always brought something new to the table, whether it be Last House on the Left with its really raunchy film and revenge rape kind of feel to it, to he came up with Nightmare on Elm Street. Then he did went into the dark, kind of like he did some movies, and then pulled out Scream. That's another reinventing for himself. And then he just kept coming back. He knew he stayed with the times.
And that's definitely true. I mean, if you look at Last House and Hills Have Eyes, they are very 1970s horror films. They have that gritty grindhouse feel to them. They are very raw, very pessimistic, as so many things in the 70s were as far as horror cinema goes, and even just general cinema. And then you get into Nightmare on Elm Street, and it is a very freaking 80s movie. It has a very 80s feel. It fits right in with a lot of what was going on then with the slasher character and the teenage main characters in it. Not that his other movies didn't, but the focus, I mean, basically parents are nearly irrelevant in that movie, outside of just being pains in the ass. And then you move on to Scream, which, I mean, it's kind of impressive that a director that was so ingrained in the kind of old school 70s and 80s horror went and made that movie, because that's the thing that kind of, in a way, saved horror movies that kind of just gotten very repetitive in the late 80s, early 90s, and Scream was kind of the thing that revitalized horror.
The 90s just became just everything hitting. Like it was either I Still Knew You Did Last Summer, Urban Legends, God knows how many Halloweens and Fridays and Nightmares that came out. There was so much repetitive, nothing new. And it just started to become utter like blah schlock. And Scream brought a whole new thing where it made fun of itself, knowing it was a horror movie, knowing the rules of all the gimmicks of every horror movie out there. So it brought something new to the table, yet also staying true to its horror roots.
And it really kind of, I mean, it's funny because any of those things, Scream comes in and creates a kind of postmodern horror almost genre to itself. And I mean, that gets almost as repetitive and stale as the stuff we were getting in the early 90s. But I mean, then people have kind of come back around, and a lot of the stuff now is very 70s and 80s throwback. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some kind of other postmodern horror in maybe another decade, maybe sooner than that.
Yeah.
But very, very amazing to me that he had the career that really had. I mean, I guess you almost call it 3 major pieces or acts to his career, and that those 3 kind of films, I think, very much highlight those pieces.
He didn't let the time changes of technology or stop him from what he wanted to do. He always kept up with the times, whether it be with 90s or with the thousands. I mean, even with when America was all scared of airplanes with 9/11, Red Eye. I mean, that's a huge thing.
And when America was terrified of NSYNC and Meryl Streep, he made Music of the Heart. Just chilling film. All right, I'll have to admit, I think I posted this on Facebook as well. But I was trying, when the news came out, I was kind of trying to think, well, what was the first Wes Craven film I ever saw? And if I'm lucky, the answer is A Nightmare on Elm Street. If I'm not, the answer is Music of the Heart. My mom had dragged me to that as a kid. And I mean, granted, I probably didn't know directors really well before then, so I might not have really had, context for who had made Nightmare on Elm Street. So that potentially could be the first Wes Craven film I ever watched. It might be the scariest thing I've ever done in my mind.
Mine would have to be probably either Scream or New Nightmare.
And you still watch the rest of the Nightmare series. Huh? Wow.
Ha, ha, ha. But it was more like, I didn't know if I watched the first one or if I did New Nightmare, because my first Nightmare movie was 4. And I keep forgetting he didn't do 3 and 4. As much cult loving those 2 get.
And I mean, 3 was really the only one he had any other involvement with, but even his original script is very, very different than what actually appeared on film. I don't really know how much work he put into it after he wrote that part. But really 1 and the New Nightmare were the only ones he really, really was involved with. I think he even says that in New Nightmare. But I think it's very interesting looking at his career, especially, like I said, both of us have just been kind of watching a bunch of different movies from, what he's put out over the years. And I honestly don't think, when John Carpenter passes away, that we could really have that kind of experience with his body of work. Or I'm just picking on him, but, Tobe Hooper or, I don't know. Try to think of any other director that has that kind of
come back up. I mean, the only way their names come back up is because a movie gets re-released or something gets thrown out. I mean, I don't really know anything of John Carpenter that's come out that's new. I mean, the only thing that I know Tobe Hooper related that's been out in the last 5 years was the Poltergeist remake, and that's because he did the original. I can't think of anything.
What about? Oh, I guess I was back in the '90s. I was gonna say, but The Mangler. That's the most recent film of his I can pull off the top of my head. Yeah, it's not exactly a crowning.
Didn't he do the Toolbox Murder remake?
He might have. Yeah,
I'm
sure he's done more recent stuff. But I'm sure if I looked on IMDb, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that. But definitely Wes Craven.
They don't have as many cult classics or well-known titles. I mean, John Carpenter. I mean, the last one that isn't Halloween related. Granted, he didn't do a lot of the Halloweens. I can think of Ghost of Mars and The Ward were the last 2 that I know of that are strictly horror that he's done.
And that's the other thing about Wes Craven. If you look at his filmography, almost every last thing in it is horror. And from what I heard, he actually enjoyed doing horror. It's not just, this is what people will pay me to make.
Go on.
Obviously, he did branch out at times. There are things, that aren't. But, I mean, really, primarily, he kept going back to that genre, which is rare. A lot of people will get put in that box, and then it's like, well, I gotta go, I gotta not be that person.
Yeah. He wanted to branch out with Deadly Friend, and he actually made that the way he did. But then once the test screening hit and producers found out he was the man behind horror movies, they demanded more blood, more gore, and they wanted the horror. So he did all that, and now he just owns the film because he wanted to try something new. And honestly, I think the reason why he did Scream 3 – no. The reason he did Music of the Heart – I think there's a reason why someone wanted him to do Scream 3. He said he would only do it if he was able to do Music of the Heart. So – and that's one of the branches I know. I mean, Vampire in Brooklyn, I'm probably not the only one that's seen that travesty.
That
was not awful. Yeah. In our watching of these movies, pretty much I've not seen pretty much half of his movies. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch all of them as much as I can. I own Last House, so I watched that. That's enjoyable. Hills Have Eyes, it was okay. I enjoyed it. Deadly Blessing, avoid at all costs unless you really are that fucking bored.
No, wait. If you're that fucking bored, you're not going to be actually just watching the movie?
Good point.
I mean, that was 85 minutes of pure boredom and then 5 minutes of what the fuck did I just watch?
And then there was a quick scene going, wait, am I watching Nightmare on Elm Street or am I watching a snake movie?
There's a snake in my bath.
And then there's Swamp Thing. I have not seen that yet, so that's one. Hills Have Eyes 2 was okay. If you take off the Hills Have Eyes name, it actually probably would have been a good movie, in my opinion. And then Nightmare on Elm Street, I mean, every horror fan has seen that movie. People Under the Stairs, I've seen. I watched Vampire in Brooklyn. That was god-awful to get through. Deadly Friend. It was an okay watch. I pretty much I trucked through as many of his movies as I could. I did not get to Swamp Thing, Music of the Heart. There was another one, Shocker, I didn't catch to, and as much as I need to. I don't know how much of an urge I need to. And then today I just watched Serpent and the Rainbow, which it still wasn't a high on my to-see list, and after watching it, it still stayed there.
I think you need to actually give Shocker a chance. I mean, it's not a perfect movie by any means, but you need to finish that one because it is actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I do actually, as much as it's hard for me to watch it because every time I put on Shocker, it's either something else gets my attention, whether my family wants to watch Lost Boys or something better comes on. But with the new Scream Factory releasing of Shocker, I do want to pick it up just for the commentary. I mean, I don't know if there's an older version of Shocker that has a commentary. So it'd be kind of nice to see what his thoughts are on that movie. I mean, because it's got to be filmed, or it's got to be recorded at least a few months before his passing.
And even if you don't have access to that commentary, the Movie Crypt podcast did a pretty freaking funny commentary on there. I love their commentaries because they are about 80% bullshit. But and also pointing out like, oh, look, you could see the shadow of the cameraman on the football fields.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's very noticeable if you're looking for it. We have to be pretty out of the movie to really be looking for it.
Not really. You just notice things, kind of like when you're watching Hills Have Eyes 2. Hey, look, there's the pull string. Yeah.
Which is all I did in Friday the 13th Part 3.
Oh, that's strings. I know that's an entirely different movie.
There are no strings on me.
Shut up, Ultron. This isn't Marvel. This is horror.
Hakuna Matata. Wait.
Yeah, we don't get off topic.
No, not at all. So we've talked kind of about Wes Craven's other stuff. So do you want to jump right into the movie of the month here?
Sure. Serpent and the Rainbow. Actually, yeah, make the one who's never seen it talk about it. The only thing I knew about this was that it was a movie I always confused with a Stephen King book. I always thought it was like Stephen King, really, because just that kind of a name made me think Stephen King.
It's based on a true story. It's very loosely.
Yeah,
based
Anthrax story.
No, I saw Anthrax last night. They look nothing like anything in this movie.
No, the white powder Anthrax.
But this is really interesting because the movie came out in 1988, so it was post Nightmare on Elm Street for Craven. It was actually now I kind of want to see exactly where it fell into his filmography because I wasn't really looking. So this would be. Don't mind me waiting. All right, so this was a decent amount past Nightmare, but not a lot of big things. He did a TV movie, Chiller. He did a Wonderful World of Disney episode. He did the Twilight Zone series, and he did Deadly Friend in between. So Deadly Friend being his only theatrical, or I don't even know if that was theatrical, but his bigger movie release in between Nightmare and this. But it's a movie. Basically, the basic plot is we have a American doctor, Dennis Allen, according to Colin, Dennis Allen Grant, going to basically. He's an anthropologist in the pocket of a medical research company, or at least they're hiring him to go to these exotic locations, take back tribal medicines and things to the United States so they can research it for use in modern medicine, just because they're these remote knowledge pieces that people don't have. The movie starts with him in South America on the set of Cannibal Holocaust or something like that, and we see him having visions. They use this medicine they have on him, and he sees his spirit animal, which isn't the penguin that tells him to slide. It's actually a leopard or a cheetah or jaguar, I guess. I guess it would be jaguar in South America. And then he starts seeing visions of this Haitian man who's all creepy looking and can't shut his mouth to save his life. His next job takes him to Haiti, which is where the story actually takes place. Is being paid to find out about the formula, the medicine that they use to turn people into voodoo zombies, which, as opposed to the Romero Living Dead zombies, this is really just putting you in a state where you have no life signs, you're not breathing, you have no pulse, you appear to be dead, and you get buried, and whoever poisoned you goes and digs you out and basically kind of turns you into a mindless slave because you kind of go crazy while you're in that state. So he's trying to find this to use for an aesthetic alternative, I guess. And there's a whole revolution going on down in Haiti, so he's searching for this. He's kind of poking his head into places where people don't want him to poke his head into. The doctor he's working with is a revolutionary and kind of helping get him into trouble. And basically he manages to get the stuff, but not before being threatened by the government and having a nice piercing added to his nutsack. And he gets back to the States. He gets back to the States. They find out that he delivers the stuff, but he's threatened. The voodoo has followed him there, so he goes back to Haiti and is... I'm not wrong, right? That's when he actually is put under the voodoo spell. Yeah. And, it's hard to going back to America in the middle of it really just kind of confused me for a little bit. It seems really unnecessary, but we'll get to that, I guess, as we get to it. But yeah, he goes back. He's actually given the full zombification stuff. He's buried. He's dug out by a man who was zombified himself, who he was trying to find, interview, and help to get more information about everything. And then he goes, faces off against creepy guy who he saw in his vision, who's actually the I don't really know what his role was, but he's some government guy who's being a jerk and once again nailing scrotums. And
Prince Albert's.
It's a whole big climactic thing. We get a lot of leftover special effects from Nightmare on Elm Street popping out through the walls and through chairs. And there's some big spirit battle, and he manages to defeat Evil Dude. And then he comes back from the dead, all burnt alive. The chair somehow is now in Bill Pullman's control, and telekinesis ensues. I don't know what really happened at the end of this movie. It stopped kind of making sense, but there's some cool effects, there's some crazy shit, and everybody's happy and safe and sound at the end. Is that not the worst plot summary ever?
I can think of way worse. Thank God we're not reviewing Deadly Blessing.
Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's
No.
happening. Oh, look, it's the devil.
No. Plot summary for Deadly Blessing. Turn movie off. Put on Amish Paradise by Weird Al. There you go.
That's actually what we did when we watched it. Oh, jeez. Even though they're not Amish. They're definitely not Amish because we don't want to get sued. But yeah, so I guess you kind of already put out your initial thoughts on Serpent and the Rainbow, so you're not really a huge fan, I take it.
It was okay. I mean, I listened to the movie Crypt a lot, and I actually listened to an episode just this morning, and it spoiled a little bit of it. It doesn't really spoil much, All I read was, Bill Pullman gets a Prince Albert. So, all you youngsters doing, that's a piercing to the dick.
But he doesn't, actually. Like, they actually go through great pains to explain that it didn't do anything but pierce his scrotum, so.
Oh. It's a cheat. Retcon.
And I promise, or at least I hope, this is the only episode where we spend this much time talking about balls. Between Deadly Blessing, Deadly Friend. Why the hell did he name two movies almost the same thing? Between and Serpent and the Rainbow, it's just apparently this episode's going to have a lot of balls in it.
You were the thing in the comments during the movie.
But yeah, so I had seen this movie before. This was my pick for, to do for this. I was trying to think. Basically, it seemed right to do a Wes Craven movie, and obviously, we already discussed. There's plenty to pick from, and I wanted to go with something maybe some other people hadn't seen, or that was maybe a little more obscure, because Nightmare on Elm Street has been talked about to death. His big movies have been talked about to death. So something a little more obscure. And I really was happy to kind of see a movie post Night of the Living Dead that went back to using voodoo zombies. Because kind of previous to that, almost all zombies in cinema were these voodoo zombies, going back all the way to like White Zombie and I Walked with a Zombie, which both movies I would recommend. I like both of those films. But I always think that having the true voodoo zombie is unique, and it's almost a disservice that they're both the same name, that they're both called the same thing, because I think it would, maybe if they weren't both zombies, they might get a little more play in horror cinema. But I also like that it's, kind of a modern take on ancient ritual, and a lot of those older movies that I talked about, even though it always is the white person goes to the island and is exposed to this crazy voodoo stuff, this is the first one that I've ever seen where there is a scientific take on it that makes it just feel a lot more modern, that we know this happens. It's not some, unknown thing happening here, but we want to use it for more modern medical uses or want to study it, as opposed to just like there's crazy shit happening.
And I did like that. I liked how it was modern. I did like how it was set in modern times. It was done with realistic stuff. Like it's for Haiti. It's in. It does with tribes, and they do have all that weird medicine and voodoo stuff. Granted, it's not zombies, but it was a nice modern take. I may not have liked it my first watch, but it's one of those, if I see it online or if I see it on TV, I may give it another watch. It's just one that first impression wasn't that great. I mean, it could have been because the past week I've been watching nothing but kind of crap. So I'm just kind of stuck in that kind of mode. So, but it has a nice realistic feel. I mean, I really don't know if, like, there's so many movies being remade. If this got remade now, I really don't know if they can pull off that whole realistic feel because of the whole thing with Haiti and getting hit and all that. I just don't know if that could pull a realistic feel today than it did back then.
And the funny thing about this movie is very similar to, I guess, Deadly Blessing. I really don't want to reference that movie, but they're shaking your head in horror. It's almost like it could be realistic up to a point. Like this could just be things that are really happening. And then at the end, it just goes batshit crazy. And seeing it twice now, there's not much you could say for the plausibility of this being, you know, a hallucination or something like that. It pretty much had to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure all this happens. I mean, it probably happens today where there's so much stuff out there that they mix up, and they probably do that burying a lot. Maybe not the whole zombie to an extent, but they probably do bury people alive, in that comatose state where you cannot move.
Well, there was a story really recently, actually, of, I forget if it was Haiti or, I know it was, you know, that kind of area of the world, of somebody being dead, pronounced dead, put in a coffin, and I think they buried her or started to bury her, and they heard her screaming, and they dug her back out, and I think she ended up dying later. But you know, I mean, it does still, I mean, literal burials of people who are still alive, I mean, can still happen.
Yeah.
But I just mean in terms of, like, you know, you see creepy crap throughout the movie. You see him have these hallucinations. I guess the first thing you see that's pretty early that tells you this is completely supernatural is he does have visions of a man that he's not going to meet until weeks later. So I guess that's not exactly a credible, you know, you can't say that was realistic, but so much of the rest of it, almost if you took that piece out, you'd really kind of have a story that he could just be so influenced by the voodoo and the atmosphere around him that the dreams he's having are being invaded by this creepy imagery. He's having dreams of, you know, corpses coming after him and snakes trying to mouth rape him and things like that. And, you know, those, they could just be dreams. And once again, I feel like there's a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street here with these dream imageries and things like that.
Especially at the end.
Once we get to the very end, after he's been given the full voodoo zombification thing, the, you know, put under, buried, and comes back out, we get some other scenes that, once again, could still be that weird effect on his brain. It could just be the medicine, the poison affecting his mind. But then we basically have like ghost wars. And I mean, I guess we could assume something else is happening at that point in the story. Like he's seeing these visions of his spirit animal and the cop from Terminator fighting each other or fighting the bad guy. But it's one of those movies where I have to believe that at this point it is supposed to be purely supernatural and there really is no real world plausibility thrown in here anymore.
Yeah.
And I got to say also, this was a movie that about halfway, probably not even halfway through, I had to turn the subtitles on both between a lot of people with very heavy French accents and the fact that I was at a Anthrax Motorhead concert last night and I still can't really hear all that well. So I did. If you could tell some details are missing, some of the finer points, it's probably because I really just couldn't hear it.
But yeah, I mean, even at the very end, like when he's having the battle with the Reading Rainbow lookalike guy, he just bursts into flames, and it actually looks like the Freddy suit from the original that he's burned, or was it 2? They both involve fire.
Fire in a red sweater. But I mean, it's interesting to see this because Wes Craven must have had a big fear of being burned alive, because between Nightmare and this, where we see a character basically go up in a full Freddy burn makeup nearly by the end, and even Shocker, where we see Horace Pinker has the top of his head burned from the electrodes. I'm trying to think. He's probably done in other movies, but it's obviously something that he went back to time and time again.
Yeah.
Just like stuff coming out of the bathtub in between girls' legs. That may be a fetish.
Yeah. With Miss Langenkamp.
But this movie is also one of those ones that it's kind of fun to watch because looking at the different people in it, they're all people I know from other stuff. And outside of Bill Pullman, there's really nobody who's really a star, quote unquote. But I mean, Bill Pullman, every time I see him, all I can think of is Casper the Friendly Ghost, which is horrible. Or Independence Day. Sadly, that comes second.
I think Lake Placid, then Independence Day.
But then we have, as I mentioned before, there's kind of the good voodoo priest who's played by, Paul Winfield. And he's the cop from the original Terminator, the one that tells Sarah Connor the couch is comfortable and we have a bajillion cops in the station, only for that to not matter one freaking bit.
Review of Terminator coming soon.
I can review Terminator without watching the movie. I can promise you that.
I'm sure.
Terminator 2 even more so.
Terminator 3 or 4?
I'll refuse to watch those movies and just pretend like I did.
Like 5?
It's not obsolete.
Boo.
But I guess the other actor that I really was happy to see in this was Michael Gough. It just pre-Alfred. He's always fun to see in a movie.
He was being Ian McKellen. That's who he was.
It is kind of funny because every time I see him, I just really expect him to, be like, "Oh, you shouldn't go back to Haiti. I've got a friend up in Gotham who'll go down there and take care of things for you." And then Michael Keaton shows up, and he's like, "Shit, I can't move in this costume. They're all going to kill me." And then, freaking George Clooney shows up, and they just laugh at his nipples.
And kill a franchise.
If Christian Bale had bat nipples, do you think people would have liked those movies at all? Like, if the Nolan movies were exactly the same, except the Batsuit had nipples on it, I want to visit that alternate reality just to see people's reaction.
Kind of like the alternate reality where Brad Dourif would have played Scarecrow, and who else was in the alternate? They had a bunch of cool casting until like shit hit the fan with Schumacher.
Could have had Eddie Murphy as he was supposed to be the Riddler, wasn't he? That's who they were talking about.
Yes, that was who. That's the other one I was thinking of.
Because nobody else was ever going to play Penguin. I think they should have got Sylvester Stallone to play the Penguin, just so that it would be like Mickey and then Rocky. So I mean, I guess that's by our record, but I think we're done talking about Serpent and the Rainbow if we've gone off on this Batman tangent. But it is Batman Day today, isn't it? So I guess
it is.
That we've gone off on this tangent.
But yeah, that's our talk for Wes Craven. I mean, we kind of wanted to pay tribute. We wanted to pick a good movie, and it was his choice, so he picked Serpent and the Rainbow.
So you're trying to say it's a bad movie that made you watch?
And so we were trying to I was trying to watch all through his movies in case we went too in depth, but apparently we are not being liked with the long essence of time for our show, which is understandable. So we're kind of trying to do shorter episodes, maybe go bi-weekly, and just do maybe 10 to 20 minutes at the most with episodes. I mean, granted, next month, since it is Halloween, we thought we'd do I'll let you go from here. You're the better announcer.
So, yeah, we've been calling this the Dangertainment Podcast. So, thought for Halloween, we might need to pay tribute to our namesake here. And I think we're going to try to do a commentary on Halloween Resurrection, which means we have to watch Halloween Resurrection at least twice. Are you prepared to do that?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna start brushing up on my kung fu movies, and
you mean watch Chun-Li whooping everybody's ass while smoking a cigarette?
Yeah, that.
Don't forget about your cooking products and your good dieting.
I'll bring the fennel. You bring the rat.
God.
And beyond that, I mean, I guess we're going to do shorter episodes or try to keep them shorter and try to maybe not talk so much. But but at least from my end, right now I'm finishing up a few reviews, but then we're going to kick off a full-on horror marathon of figure reviews for the month of October. I've got a lot of stuff. I was starting to write down a list the other day. If I can actually get all the reviews shot and uploaded, we're going to start before October, and we'll probably have a review a day for the most of the month. So it's going to be jam-packed with horror reviews. And by this point, I've kind of hit all the really obvious stuff in my collection. So I've got some kind of obscure, random, older crap that we're going to be taking a look at.
And I'll let you finish.
I was gonna say you have two horror conventions coming up next month, and I have one.
Yeah, I don't know when we're gonna start doing the bi-weekly. I think we might try and get the commentary out, and then start going bi-weekly because next month we are so busy with Halloween horror nights in Orlando. I think next weekend we're gonna try and go, depending upon budget.
Yeah.
And then just. We both have been, ever since we've been friends, we both kind of been doing the Halloween 31 movies, every one movie a day for horror movies. I don't know if he's going to keep doing it. I'm going to try and do it. So if we do start the shorter podcast, I'll probably talk about the movies I've seen since the last episode, yada, yada. But then at the end of the month, I am going to Minnesota for Crypticon. I'll be able to meet Doug Jones. That's who really highlight for me. Lance Henriksen, I've met before. It'd be nice to talk to him more. Michael Bean, Michael J. White, Spawn, and then pretty much my friend and a great tattoo artist in my opinion, Kane Hodder. Yeah, that's something to say with a straight face. He's gonna kill me.
And wicked gay.
It built like a truck.
Oh, Holliston references that only maybe one other person will get. Awesome.
If you don't stop staring at that giant disemboweled piggy behind you.
Hey, Piggly no wiggly. Gotta love it.
And then the week right after, actually the week I come back from my convention in Minnesota, Spooky Empire is Halloween Day. So that'll be kind of fun. To meet there, I just picked up a decent copy of Clockwork Orange that has like a film cell in it or something like that. So it'd be kind of fun to get that signed and framed. And then I made a joke of every time because they're adding Scream actors nonstop. And I was always joking saying, add Matthew Lillard. Well, they did. So him and Malcolm are my top two must-gets for this year's Spooky.
And I've got I think I have a lot of actors. I mean, they have, not necessarily that I'm going to get this person, but Nev Campbell's going, the twins from The Shining, both Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, Burt Reynolds, George Romero is one I'm definitely going to get. They're having a cast reunion from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I wanted Gene. They should have got Gene, damn it.
Tony Todd, Danny Trejo, Bill Moseley. The cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show are the ones that are easy enough to get to a convention. The kids from the Munsters, a Fright Night cast reunion, which has me very excited. The creepy kid from Pet Sematary, Tom Savini, William Forsythe, Alex Vincent, the greased up sax man from Lost Boys. And I would say the Hare Krishna zombie, but I think he just lives at conventions, so I don't know if he really counts as a special guest.
He's at every Florida convention, and that's kind of cool because he is fun to talk to.
Oh, the what's her face from Rocky Horror canceled her appearance, so it's not a full reunion of people.
Which one?
Magenta.
Oh.
Or no, the other one.
Little Nell?
Huh?
Little Nell? The pink hair.
No, she's going. It's
okay, so Magenta, the one that's in the maid outfit.
I haven't seen that movie in like 3 years. I'm sorry. I'm blanking.
And if it's not the pink hair lady, it's Magenta.
They both have pink hair in the picture. That's what's confusing me.
Okay, one is dressed in like yellow and a top hat. The other one's like a maid outfit. Okay, one's dressed like
top hat, not maid.
Okay, don't care about the Rocky reunion no more. I've got the other two.
All right. Well, but anyway, so that's happening. Trying to think what else is going on. Yeah, Halloween Horror Nights we already talked about.
Yeah, or they're going to have Freddy vs. Jason. They're going to have Insidious. And then the thing that we're definitely going for is, the 6th year of Walking Dead. I mean, we haven't seen that enough.
I don't think I've ever done a Walking Dead house there. Wait, did I did last year.
They did.
I think. I don't even remember. Wow, my memory's gone, apparently. I think I had one too many people dropped on my head in the mosh pit last night. I'm apparently just gone.
I went 2 years ago when they had like Resident Evil and American Werewolf in London and Evil Dead, and it was all fun once you got past The Walking Dead, because you go through Walking Dead and it's just like, ooh, zombies, people, ooh, it's like, get away from me. And then, I mean, the worst experience I had there, besides just going through the mob of Walking Dead fanatics, was right when we got up to the front of the Evil Dead attraction, it was a shift change. So we saw all the attractions, and it ruined it for me and my friend. I mean, we saw everything that was jumped out, and it's just like, granted, I don't know how many people like that stuff. If you say if I complain about it, it ruins the effect. I mean, you see everything. It's like, oh, look, chick with chainsaw. Oh, look, evil tree. Oh, look, possessed bitch.
But you didn't see the mermaid.
That was Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, I thought you said it was Cabin in the Woods.
I said Evil Dead.
Oh. Basically the same movie.
Backwoods hillbillies, Booking Up Dead,
I just like that they had the TARDIS in in American Werewolf.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't go last year because I forget what I was also up north last year. But
You missed out last year. Last year, the Halloween house alone was worth the price of admission. Like,
yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah,
it was freaky, and then they even had the Silver Shamrock masks make a cameo. I'm like, somebody who was a big fan.
but yeah, this year I don't know about him, but Favorites Jason is the huge get me for me. So hopefully, with budgetary reasons, we'll go next Saturday, next Sunday. So depending upon when we record an episode or a commentary, maybe both, we'll talk about that. And then by the end of the month, we'll be talking about conventions. So, woo!
It's going to be a packed, busy month. So I guess it's all the more reason to stop recording this and start doing all the 8 billion things we have planned for this next month.
Yeah. So
we'll be go ahead.
Check out BrokenGloryGaming.com. We have on YouTube, Broken Glory Gaming on YouTube. And we have a bunch of Grand Theft Auto videos coming out, maybe a little bit of Dying Light. Look forward to Halo 5 and Battlefront coming in the next month. So that's my end.
What if I don't want to look forward to Halo 5?
Don't have to. At least we have Grand Theft Auto.
What if I don't want to look forward to that either? All right, we'll call him quit the show. So see you guys later. Yeah, he's in my part. Bunch of horror reviews, bunch of horror crap. And as always, check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. I also have a link in the description. I also have the Instagram account Outside the Box Reviews where I take photos of random crap. And I've also been building some fighting robots lately, so I'm going to post some of that stuff both of those places as well. So if you want to watch me build horrible, stupid little robots, check me out there too. And since Colin has officially disappeared, we will see you guys next month.